I expect you to call me every month, right? And I can't tell you how many people I have. I can probably tell you exactly. I know who's going to call me on the 1st, who's going to call me on the 2nd, who's going to call me on the 3rd of the month, right? I tell them, call me. I expect you to call me to ask me what is going on in the market, what's new, what do you have new, what do you have that might be off market, right? It's just like today, we're here today. I just got 2 off-market properties yesterday, right? Come to me. So you never know when I'm going to get those. So I expect them to call me every month. And what shocks some of my buyers and clients is if they're supposed to call me on the 1st, and it comes 3rd, they haven't called me yet, I call them, right? I'll call them and say, hey, you haven't called me. What happened? What's going on? You got a deal going? So forth. So, call your brokers. That's one of the biggest things is you need to get out and know all of your brokers in whatever market you're in. Mm-hmm. Get to know them. Have coffee with them, right? Help them understand who you are, what you're looking for, right? Some of you might be here from Nashville, so shame on me that I don't know you, right? We should know each other.
Shame on you that you haven't gotten to know you.
We should know each other. I should know who you guys are, right?
Yep.
Like you say, you've been to my office before, so there are a couple in here that I've already met and I know who they are and things like that. But, I joked with Chad as I went to a real estate meetup a couple of weeks ago that a local syndicator here was putting on. I went to that meetup. He introduced me. He's like, hey, this is a broker you guys need to really know, right? And I met one of the guys there. That was a Wednesday night, and he said, you need to know Brian because he answers his phone when you call him. So Thursday morning, I get a call. I answer the phone. The gentleman says, you know what, Brian? I'm not calling you for any other reason other than to see if you would answer your phone. Because that's what they told me last night you did. Right? He goes, that's all I wanted. You answered it, perfect.
Yep.
Right? So just get to know your brokers. Get to know them. Ask them, questions. Ask them what's going on in the market. What they have, what's off market, what's new. You got to get that, relationship because brokers are like, you guys, right? You do business with people that you know, like, and trust.
Yep.
Don't get to know us, man.
And
we're normal people.
If they don't know you, they can't flow you. You guys have heard me say that. He cannot flow deals to you if he doesn't know who you are. So if you're one of those that's sitting there kind of banging your head against the wall, like I'm not seeing any opportunities, your biggest problem is probably obscurity. It's because people don't know who you are in your market that you're looking in. That's your problem. It's not that you don't know how to underwrite. It's not that there aren't deals out there. It's not any of those things. It's that you're not willing to admit the fact that you're not putting in the action to get the guys that are in your market, like Brian, to know who you are so they can flow deals to you. That's your issue. Okay? The other thing that I want to talk about is timing, because he said something really, really important that if we didn't have this event, right, we just say this event wasn't happening, and you're sitting there at your desk contemplating whether or not you're going to make cold calls to new brokers. If you call Brian, who Brian answers his phone, and you started with some intro and took it a little bit further, like we said, asked him what he's working on, he got 2 off-market properties yesterday. So I imagine if you had a decent conversation with someone, you would at least give them a crack to make an offer or something. Maybe Absolutely. Not an exclusive, but at least a crack. If you didn't make that call, somebody else is going to call Brian today and get a crack at those 2 off-market deals that he got yesterday and just might put something in front of the seller that he's willing to accept, and the only reason you didn't get it is because you didn't pick up the phone. I've seen it happen. I got a 21 unit in Huntsville, and I literally called her like an hour after the buyer dropped contract, and she said, it's so weird that you called me. It was the first time I've ever called her. And I said, Len, there's a reason I called you. It's because I'm next in line for that deal. She didn't take it back to market. I ended up closing that deal. It was a great deal. So, but it was timing. It was pure. I was literally making cold calls at the right time. So it's a mixture, like that appears to be lucky, but it's not lucky because it's a mixture of action and opportunity, right? When those two meet, like people call it lucky, but you got to be willing to make the calls. Go ahead, Ronnie.
You probably have the analysis down, but I can speak loudly.
We got to get it for the, it's for the
Yeah.
Zoom.
You probably have the
Zoom.
analysis down, but when you're doing cold calls, what's your time windows that you do cold calls in?
Oh, as far as like whenever. I don't
So
overthink that
you don't
stuff.
have it.
Don't
just pick it
overthink it.
up.
Just call. There's no. I don't
Best
want
time to pick up. Mondays
Yeah, I
and
mean,
Fridays,
you
8
could
to
make
10.
a case for, Tuesdays and Thursdays afternoons. I've done all sorts of research on that, especially when I was full-fledged in sales. People are really incentivized to answer, Mondays between like 10 and 12 as they're getting their day going. And then people are really friendlier, in my opinion, on Fridays. I do a lot of cold calling Thursday, Friday, because it's the end of the week. People are friendlier. But at the end of the day, like, your problem is not going to be the window in which you're catching people.
Correct.
Yeah, but Tuesdays, Thursdays, I've found have been good days. Mondays mornings and then Friday afternoons have been good answer rates for us.
I'll
When
just
do you
jump
want
in
people
on
to call
that.
you?
Yeah, people call me. I was just going to go off of cold calls.
Yeah.
I usually don't call on Monday because I have over the years I have not had success on Monday. But early morning, I'll call a lot of because obviously I do a lot of direct to sellers calling, and I will call. I have great success calling between 7 and 8 in the morning.
Ooh.
Right. So that and then
Central time?
So, yeah, well, whenever, Central Time, and especially if it's here. But I'll always call if it's East Coast. Sometimes I'll call it like 6 to 7, right? That hour before they may get there. But then also the other great time I have found huge success on is right after lunch. I don't know what it is about people eating lunch, but they seem to be in a much better mood to actually want to have a conversation with you. Maybe they're still in a
My
food
wife's
coma,
in a
whatever
better mood
like
after
that.
she eats, too.
But that time from really like 1:30, 2 o'clock till about 4 is huge success.